Alright guys, fitness week. Tuesday was 7.5. Week 7, day 5. This is week 7, day 7? Yeah, because tomorrow at 2 p.m. It's gonna be a different day. Which reminds me I need to weigh in. Because it's Thursday, so let me just test it out. So I can hydrate. Alright, so I got my approximation for today. So, so I'm basically gonna just estimate this. That I think I'm on track. It's still, I don't know, let me see. If I compare it to the other weeks, I mean, this is still Thursday, it's not quite the Friday weigh-in. So I just do it just in case I forget. Because last time the weigh-in was Saturday, because I did it on the wrong day and I forgot Friday, I forgot Thursday as well. So, it's still within a good range. I gotta note that I've been drinking water. I'm gonna switch up my schedule just for today a little bit because I'm feeling a little weird. And I don't know how to address it. My first inclination is to ignore how I'm feeling at all with the physical or any other thing, and then just blindly go and like do the tasks that my routine normally has. I'm not gonna do this morning workout. I'm gonna study instead for the workout, and I have a reason behind this. Yesterday I felt pretty rusty. It wasn't rusty, it was more like foggy. So I said I was gonna talk about Wednesday night's workout. Wednesday was a weird day. It was just generally a weird day. We had a 1-minute elevator pitch presentation to give each of us individually to one of the, I don't know what the team is called. There's like some kind of, technically they'd almost be considered like management if you're working. Like they're kind of like, they're not your instructors, they're not like the teachers who are like grading you in the class, but they are people who are in charge in this training program as part of like the career success team. I don't know what their name exactly is, but they kind of help us with being ready for jobs and preparation for work. And they're very helpful with that. So we were getting basically graded. I can talk about it a little bit, my experience with it a little bit. I'll talk about my frustration with that with yesterday in general. Like I was getting some anxiety. I talked about it a little bit before, I think, where I was talking about, there's some lines in my little presentation that I wanted to, review and cover while I was going to take a shower before class, and I did all that. I had breakfast. It wasn't a very impressive breakfast. but I had laid on a plate, some Cheerios with some milk in a bowl, almond milk. I had like 3 boiled eggs that were there and like a banana. And so I ate like half the banana, maybe 2 of the eggs. I think I ate the cereal too. It wasn't a lot of cereal. It was like max like a cup of cereal. It's like the protein Cheerios or whatever. So I ate those. It was like decent. I felt okay. It didn't feel like enough though. Like I still felt like my brain was I was relying heavily on caffeine yesterday. I'll put it that way. I didn't feel foggy in the morning. It was something else. I just felt like my brain was like jumbled. But because I'd been practicing this speech for a while, I kind of knew it enough. But I did have to rely on notes. I wonder if I would have been sharp enough to do it without the notes. I don't know if I would have been. It did help that, things that didn't help. It didn't help that class started late. I think it started like about 15 minutes late, so we're waiting on Zoom. I'm in the Discord with classmates, and we're kind of all just like, hey, are you in yet? Are you in yet? And so long as I wasn't the only one waiting in the waiting room, it wasn't a big deal, but it like builds the anxiety. And then they started maybe at 9:30. We actually started class. Now this class starts at 9, and 9:30, like they pulled us into the room and stuff, but there was like filler of just like like we weren't talking about anything. Nothing was happening. Honestly, it was just like chit chat. But I don't know, I was frustrated with it because I was kind of like, I want to get this over with. This is anxiety provoking. I just want to be done. And I remember the last class, we were waiting to get kind of edits on on the speech and the resumes we're working on. So we basically were practicing a little bit with another classmate in like breakout rooms. And then, so there's one person that I've been, I guess since day one, we just happened to be getting into breakout rooms together, and so me and this one person, we kind of keep talking. So that kind of helped yesterday. But me and this person, so let's say we started breakout rooms around 9:30 something. I was in that breakout room for like probably 45, 50 minutes, and me and this guy are just talking about everything. What do you think about the class? What are you doing for a 3-day weekend? What have you been up to? Like, we've got a decent, I'd say it's kind of more of like a professional style rapport, but, he's sociable, I'm sociable, and he's kind of easy to talk to, and we're kind of familiar with each other now because we've had so many times where we've been in Zoom breakout rooms with just the two of us just talking because we're there, like we finished the assignment and we're talking, so we know each other's resumes, we know each other's past employment backgrounds, and like we kind of know each other because we've spent a lot of time together now. So that part was a little nerve-wracking but a little comfortable because I was like, yeah, at least my mind's off of waiting, and I got out of class at like 10:33 or so. That's when when I was done with my presentation, meaning I got pulled in to give the presentation. Let's call it 10:20 a.m. I don't know the exact time, but we're gonna call it 10:20 a.m. That means from 9 o'clock or so, or 2 minutes before 9 o'clock, I was waiting on Zoom all the way until it was like 9:15. We get into the class Zoom. 9:30, I'm talking to this classmate in our breakout room while we're both just waiting. They're just gonna pull us at random, to the breakout room where they're gonna. It's not quite a mock interview, but it feels similar to that. Like a brief version of that, and they were kind of critiquing us on what we said, and so I guess I wasn't very pleased with my energy and performance yesterday. I think I had good energy. I think I presented confidently. I think I was able to speak clearly. I think I got my point across. The good, I got feedback that, I have a strong work background, that what the wording that I used was strong and good, but I guess I kind of didn't put in there that that I'm, planning to, get into a role in tech. I didn't mention that in any of the sentences. I didn't mention that at all. So, that was the main note that I got. And I was a little bit annoyed. Even though, there was a grading rubric, and to be fair, I did not go back and look at this grading rubric to make for sure all my points were in there. I guess I was relying heavily on the instructor, who we've been working on these elevator pitches for quite some weeks now in stages, and this instructor has looked over all of my work, all of our work, all of my work, and made edits to things. I've been I don't want to blame the instructor, but I'm a little just frustrated. I'm frustrated with change. I'm having a hard time with the change aspect of things. I'm kind of realizing a little bit, or a lot bit, that I've got some trauma around school, some trauma around work bosses. I've had some experiences in my past where it was just terrible. I've talked about it before. I don't want to get into it now, but I've talked about being dismissed from a PhD program. I've talked about on my third year, and I've had friends that were dismissed on their sixth year when they were done and stuff, or multiple other scenarios. And I'm not saying I was not at all at fault. I don't think I deserve dismissal, but I think, at a certain point, I couldn't do anything about that decision. And then when I was working in the field, even though I was struggling with it, it was fine. I never really got complaints that I wasn't a good worker. Of course, it wasn't perfect all the time, but, I was doing well, very well at work. So the school didn't really, I guess, equate to my ability to do the job. And so, because I was able to do the work, it was just the school part was challenging. I was definitely spread too thin, and sometimes I found myself just focusing too much on the wrong things. It's like I get fixated on learning what this chart means in this, PDF journal article, and I'd just be trying to drill this table into my head of all these numbers and all this stuff, the statistics, and it's okay, I'm gonna spend 3 hours trying to learn that, but it's I didn't read all the chapters, I didn't finish some of the assignments. It's I could have spread out that energy to do other stuff and not keep getting fixated on things that it's I don't even really need to know this. But it was hard for me to decipher what was the most important thing sometimes. I know that for a fact. Just energy spread into things that was maybe I didn't need to do that. But we were already spread so thin anyways, and how my health was and all that, it just wasn't good. But I'm trying to take all of those types of experiences that were bad in the past, that didn't work out in my favor, and trying to apply it to this experience and be like, okay, there's still some stuff that I'm still doing. You know, I don't need to work out in the morning necessarily, but it does help, but it's not my best workout, but I do have the most freedom and space in the morning. You know, it is the most comfortable time for me to work out is in the morning. So morning workouts are very useful, they're very helpful for my energy, for my planning. But I don't always work out in the morning, and I've had some pretty light workouts lately, which are fine. But yeah, yesterday started with me not being too pleased with my performance because of basically that one thing that I missed. But I guess I was frustrated because all the times I've had to meet with the instructor where we've gone over this, the instructor never said to me, this part is missing. They were more trying to change some of the wording to make it sound the way they wanted, and maybe I'm a little bit sensitive about people editing my writing. I know I'm not, of course I make errors and stuff, and I'm not always writing perfectly. You guys see it if you read anything I've written blog-wise, or you know, even in the description and in the notes of the episodes. Like, I'm not always having perfect grammar, perfect everything. But yeah, it's not always perfect, but you know, I'm not terrible at it either. I'm not always like the worst at it. Like, it's not always perfect, but I'm not always like it's decent. Maybe I don't take the time to really edit as much sometimes when I know it's something that's more like, this is a casual thing. I treat it more casually. I mean, I try to make it at least so it's like, you can understand where I'm going at with this. But I guess I didn't like the process that, you know, some of my writing was being edited so much in the way that it was being edited, because it didn't sound like my voice. Like, I can appreciate the early edits because it was like, okay, this is actually worded to say the thing that I'm trying to say more directly. It wasn't saying it so passively, it was more direct, so I'm like, that helped. But I guess I think my least favorite part was when they threw my I think the resume and the other, you know, elevator pitch into AI to reword things or things like that. I'm like, no, to me that's not okay. Like, I don't want an AI generated version that's like, make this sound more casual, or kind of like an easier to read version. Like, no, I don't want AI generated, you know, speeches for myself. Like, I don't want an AI generated speech, you know. I want to put that creative energy into it myself. You know, I don't want an AI generated resume. Like, if I'm gonna write something or make something, I don't want AI doing it for me at all. And I know a lot of people are, and maybe I shouldn't say at all, but I am a little bit bitter about it this week. I don't know why. Like, it's been on my mind. This isn't the first time I've mentioned it, and I don't like it. I don't like that at all, and I'm trying to figure out why it's bothering me so much. Because it's like, I don't know. I feel kind of like I'm gonna miss a point on something when it's like the effort that was put into helping me wasn't put into making sure that all the points were right, because I missed it but it's like I was maybe relying on the instructor who had looked at what I'd written and looked at it at least 2, 3, 4 times, and the instructor never told me, hey, you need to put this in here. You know, did they mention it? Yes. Did they tell me directly to put it in there? No. And was it in any of my comments or in any of the notes that they gave me? No. So I thought I was good to go. So things like that where I'm like overlooking simple things. Until I started talking about this now, I completely forgot that we even had a grading rubric. I know we had a grading rubric because I remember taking a picture of it, because I remember she was saying that she's not going to give us the grading rubric, but when she was looking at it on Zoom, I was taking screenshots on my computer screen, and so I had access to it, and I completely forgot. I didn't even look back through the past PowerPoints that explained what we needed and make sure that what I was saying was exactly that, because I thought at this point we had gone through it so many times that it sounded right. So that was a little on my end where maybe I needed someone else to look at it. I don't know. But that was really the only mark that I missed. So that was yesterday. I get out of class, 10:33. My presentation ends. A classmate tells me, well, when you're done, you can leave. You're done with class for the day. We usually go 9 to 4. That class yesterday for me went 9, technically 9 to 10:30, but we weren't even really in there at 9. So I basically finally officially logged out at like 11 because I waited to make sure that I confirmed, because I wanted to ask the instructor to make sure that we were able to leave when we were done. So I don't know, I wasn't really pleased with my performance fully. I wasn't fully pleased with my performance. That's nobody else's fault. I'm the one who made these decisions. I'm the one who did the work and submitted it. I'm the one who should have looked back at the PowerPoints and looked at the grading rubric. How it's completely slipped my mind for this whole amount of few weeks, because I think we got that grading rubric before we went on our holiday break, which was, I think my holiday break started December 19th. And so whatever the Wednesday was before that, or maybe even the Wednesday before that one, was when we got that information and we started working on these maybe even before that, sometime in December. And it's almost the middle of January. Well, it is literally now the middle of January, January 15th. So, I don't know, I just feel like I missed that. I don't really like talking grades and stuff. This isn't a degree program, so I don't really think my grades are that, like it's not gonna affect anything. But yeah, my grades were like, I don't know, they were like, I don't know. How do I describe this? Yeah, my grades were like not great. Usually, to me, they weren't great. In this class, my grades are fine, but I'm not used to getting. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not generally a straight A student, but this is nice just having the one class. We technically have 2 classes, but it's like one class basically. One class 4 days a week, and then one class 1 day a week. So yeah, it's basically 2 classes. But I don't know. I don't like that I missed that. And the way that I missed it was like just my own, just not reviewing and looking at things more diligently for multiple weeks. I had the information, and what I did miss, I'm pretty sure they told me. They told us to put it in there, because I do remember them telling us to put it in there, but I kind of thought they told us to put it in the resume. I don't remember fully them telling us to put it in the elevator pitch. And if I'm looking at my notes, because I wrote down notes that this person told me, the person who I was presenting this to, that I needed to close out in the end, that I'm getting the CompTIA A+ certification. Talking about like maybe more like the proof and excitement toward, wanting to be in another field, and basically realizing that I've been in settings where there might be some overlap of different skills and things. Like I talked about skills in communication and documentation and working with diverse populations and stuff like that mostly. But I didn't really tie it into like the new field, and so that wasn't very clear. So those were basically the notes that I got, was basically that I didn't mention IT work. And I'm not saying that that was a bad note, because it's like, if I am talking to a company, somebody in management at a company that works for an IT site, and I'm just rambling on about my past working in psychology, like that is part of it, but it's like you do have to tie it in. So I do understand. Like, I'm not saying that they were wrong in telling me that. I'm just a little looking at it like, how did I miss that? How did I miss that? When somebody else was, I guess I relied too heavily on someone else reviewing my stuff, and didn't rely heavily enough on going back and reviewing my own information that I had purposely kept and saved and taken notes on, in efforts to make sure that I double check that I'm doing the right thing. So I'm hoping it's not a lot of points I'm missing, but I'm a little frustrated about that. I'm really not going to try to let that get in my way. But I am a little frustrated about that. About the whole experience yesterday. That was a little frustrating for me. And then after I took my exam, or after it felt like an exam, it basically almost was an exam. But after I did that, 11 o'clock I log out. I'm going to talk to one of my East Coast friends, but later, once they get out of work, because I got out like 11. So basically I worked on some music for about 20-30 minutes, put something in the oven for lunch. Mind you, I didn't eat a big breakfast. By that time I'd basically had like a little bit of cereal, 2 eggs, and half a banana. And so for lunch I had one of those Bare, B-A-R-E, Bare chicken fillet, not the spicy ones, the regular ones. You just bake them in the oven. They're breaded chicken, and they're really tender, they're really juicy, they're really good. They're probably high sodium, but the chicken doesn't have antibiotics. I had one of those basically on a wheat bun. It wasn't good wheat bread, it was Amazon grocery wheat bread, so it probably still had all the enriched wheat flour problems and gluten and stuff. I don't know. I'm not gluten free, but I can understand that. I don't know. I don't fully understand it. I know people are gluten free. I'm not necessarily. I mean, I don't think I pay that close attention to it. Sometimes I do, and other times I don't. Usually I don't. But yeah. I'm just trying to use this time here to like hydrate more, because I've definitely been slacking on my hydration. But I don't know. I just didn't feel that great about yesterday, even though I got out early, and it was nice talking to my friend, but I had a lot to talk to my friend about things that I was just like I just need to talk to somebody about this. And it wasn't about class even. I don't think we talked about this class at all. I think we were mostly talking about relationship stuff. And so I was pretty just kind of like talking to this friend, running some stuff by this friend. And I was just like, this is frustrating. With a certain situation. And then I don't know. I mean, I was talking to my friend. I'm not gonna even talk about it on here, but I was definitely in my ego about what I was talking about. Just kind of like, I don't know if I wasn't like trying to build myself up, but I was just like, the reasons why all the reasons why this person's kind of frustrating. And then another situation that's a little frustrating. But I mean, I'm just not very patient right now. Lately that's kind of how I feel. I just don't feel very patient. And we talked for a while. I ate a pretty big dinner. I had the Mexican food last night. We watched the last episode of season 1 of Man in the High Castle. And by that time it was maybe 7 p.m. or so, because we started late, which is fine. And it was maybe 7 p.m. or getting to be 7 p.m. It was like 10-15 minutes to 7. And then I was like, well, maybe I should basically not get back online and actually like work on stuff, exercise, because it wasn't too late yet. So I did a little stretching and looked at some martial arts videos while I was stretching, and finished doing my Shotokan workout. Also registered earlier that day for the Olympic tickets. And then told all my friends, just like, everybody register, because a lot of them are in LA, Orange County, San Diego, so I was like, everybody register. We're local, we can get local access. But that was just to get the wait list. And then yeah, I was like looking at the book. I was trying to do some Shotokan, so I guess I wrote down that I was doing a little bit of this capoeira, queixada, kick. Started trying to learn that, and then for Shotokan with the kata heian sandan, I watched a little bit, and then I was doing more like yellow to green belt basic forms. And I kind of got a little stuck at the that Ageuke Gyakuzuki Gedan Barai. I got a little, I guess I was trying to step into them, and I recognized, I was like, how come when I go to the rising block, from the rising block to reverse punch, it didn't feel right, because I was like, how come I'm on like the wrong leg? Like reverse punch is the opposite leg. Like if your right leg is front, you're punching with your left. So if I do the rising block with blocking on my right, then that means that the next step forward is going to be a step forward on my left. So I was like, well, if I'm already doing the rising block with my right, I'm not going to reverse punch with the right and then going from reverse punch to downward block. I was like, what the heck? So I had to go back and be like, oh, I don't step after the rising block. Those are stationary, the reverse punch and the down block. So things like that where I just wasn't getting it. Sotoke and MPUG, those are outside block to elbow strike. I'm still trying to get those movements kind of down. And I kind of saw how Heian Sandan is kind of performed. And so I've kind of got it down a little bit. I just wasn't happy with my performance with that either. Like, I just felt so foggy yesterday. Like, my brain fog yesterday was just really intense, and I was sleepy a lot of the day. I was just feeling tired and sluggish, and I was caffeinated, but I just felt just very like in my ego and frustrated in the morning, and just kind of a little frustrated with myself for missing things that I didn't have to miss, and then not being able to like even properly do like the martial arts stuff that it's like I was just studying this the other day. But to be fair, I literally was just studying this starting on the 11th and the 12th of January. So I'm maybe being a little overly critical, which I understand, but that's just how I've been feeling. So I'm not working out this morning because of all that. And I'm kind of just like, I kind of just needed to kind of sit with it for a bit and just be like, why am I feeling all weird? Today's another day. I'm not going to be like harping on all the yesterday stuff. I might order some extra groceries. We need some extra fruits and stuff. I might just have cereal for breakfast, just to keep it simple. And drink a lot of this water. But I might just literally have cereal. I've boiled eggs. I kind of keep boiled eggs. I might just have a protein shake, because it is vegetable based or plant based. The protein shakes are plant based, so I might just have a plant based protein shake. Dude, I don't think my spare phone is charging. I keep saying it's charging, but I kept it charging all night and it wasn't charging. And I've also got this backup power bank that I got for Christmas as a gift that I don't really think works. I'm trying to see if it works. I've been keeping it in the sun, and so when I went to use it yesterday, I was a little shocked that it didn't work at all. And then now, I kept it charged overnight, but I've been keeping it in the sun, so there's no reason why it shouldn't work. Now it works, it looks like. And then I know it does need to be turned on and turned off, but I don't know how to like turn this thing off fully. But it didn't really work for me yesterday when I wanted it. So I don't understand that. So I'm gonna get some of this food and then kind of get on with my morning. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna feel that sharp if I'm not well fed, so I do need to kind of eat more, but I'm not really sure about how hungry I am this morning. But yeah, I guess I'll see what I even get into. I don't even know. I'm just trying to do the Shotokan workout. And I guess we'll go from there. We'll see. Alright, so I ended up eating okay. Had for dinner meatloaf with like potatoes, carrots, onions. Those are leftovers. For lunch I had one of those chicken fillet sandwiches again with the side of some veggies I roasted. I roasted up some mushrooms and peppers and tomatoes. And then for breakfast, it was light. I had the cereal. I wasn't really feeling breakfast. I think did I have an egg? I had an egg maybe around 10 a.m. or something. I don't know. I had like an extra egg boiled. I did not buy the groceries I was gonna get, and I ended up exercising. So I'll do the groceries Friday, and then I ended for the weekend, and then I ended up exercising. Instead of the martial arts, I ended up doing an hour of cardio, kind of dancing, and that'll do, it's like at least I got an hour in, and I did feel much better. I feel like the days where I just wasn't doing that much, it just, I don't know, like my energy's just definitely better. Just the places my brain goes mentally are better. So end of week 7 pretty much. Tomorrow's gonna start week 8. I'll talk more about the goals for week 8 in the week 8 starting episode. I think what I'm gonna do is, because 2 p.m. is my cutoff for the end of Friday. 2 p.m. is my cutoff for the end of week. For the week, I might just shift that a little bit. I don't know. I'm thinking about it because it's like I'm not really working out twice a day lately, and so originally I was thinking work out in the morning, and then the morning is going to count towards the end of 1 week, and then after 2 p.m. is going to be the start of the new week. But that is just confusing. So we're going to make it so that Friday, just the whole day, I might just make Friday start as day 1, because I'm only really doing one workout lately, to be honest. I haven't really been doing the 2. The 2 feels better, but I do think I've realized maybe that not doing 2 is definitely impacting my energy levels as it pertains to just like my motivation and focus, even for studying. Like I just haven't had that motivation to do things. Like most of my motivation has been very like self-soothing types of like dopamine, self-soothing types of things. I'm kind of noticing, like, as far as my free time, I'm just wanting to veg out. I'm just wanting to kind of relax. And it made sense at a certain point, closer to the new year, when it was like I was out of town. I was like kind of like doing different stuff, and like, my schedule was all over the place and everything. But I've had quite a few days now of like a decent routine to where things should be snapping back into place, and they're just kind of not. And that's kind of the one variable that I've kind of noticed, that I'm like maybe shifting these workouts to 1 a day and not even doing them as much really, has been maybe not the best choice. It feels like it's productive and a good choice, but when I kind of look at the results of my performance this past week, for week 7, I would say I'm not fully impressed with myself. I'm not down on myself. I did kind of have some better decision making, even though it's been a struggle. And some weeks just aren't, I'm just not going to hit the mark perfectly all the time, but I'm like, I had the ability to get this little bit of flexibility. So I think my mind is kind of calculating that, and I kind of do somehow, like, I'm not like fully like tracking how long I'm taking doing stuff, but I'm like, technically I have time to finish certain stuff. So I think I'm kind of just not fully consciously, but I think my mind and body are kind of like, okay, this is the time to still take it easy. Even though you need to step it up, it would be better to kind of like front load, and but I think my body and mind want to kind of relax for the calm before the storm, and I've been trying to push it, and it just, my willpower at the moment is just this week, it's just strange. It's just been a strange feeling week. Not bad, all bad, like, I'm not like, oh, I'm like super depressed. It's not like that. It's just, this is the second whole week of the year, and I do feel like last week made more sense for me to feel weird. This week it was kind of a little bit shocking that I'm still feeling a little bit like not so confident, prepared. I'm behind in my classwork, but I've been feeling just like the desire to be more creative, more kind of like connected to my emotions. That's possibly because I'm just doing so much intellectual stuff that it's like I don't really feel as balanced in my experiences with this week with like compassion and vulnerability and just kind of like some social stuff, and just kind of like that part seems like it's kind of lacking. So I've been kind of trying to compensate and like podcast more and do other stuff, but honestly I'm podcasting during class so it's like I should be paying attention. I should be, at least if I'm not paying attention, at least doing the classwork that's going to be due during class. But instead I've been working on websites and doing creative stuff, and this is about to be the 5th day of me doing something like that, where it's like I'm not really fully there participating in the class, but I am somewhat listening, but I also am not honestly fully like paying attention, and that's not good because it's not like I really know everything perfectly. Like I'm still kind of, but I haven't been doing the labs or the quizzes. Everything's due 2 weeks from when it's assigned, so I'm about to start having stuff due on whatever was assigned on the 5th when we started back is about to be due on the 19th. Well, it's a holiday. Well, it might still be due on the holiday. I need to double check that. But we're on chapter 15. We've been doing that for 2 days. Today's gonna be the 2nd day. Wednesday before that, we don't have the IT. We did our presentations. The days before that, which were Monday and Tuesday, the 12th and 13th, we had chapter 14 for 2 days. So we've only done 2 chapters this week. Last week, Thursday, Friday, we had chapters 13 on Friday and 12 on Thursday. Wednesday was the professional development class, and then I don't remember when we had chapter 11. I guess maybe we split up chapter 11 Monday and Tuesday, the 5th and the 6th. I can't remember. So that would have been fitness week 6, and then I talked about fitness week 7. We've only really done 2 chapters, so I'm still behind even though we're going slower. But I need to do 11 through 15 basically, but mostly 11 is probably going to be due either earliest on the 19th Maybe they'll push it to the 20th, 21st, which is after this weekend. So regardless, I have to get at least that done. And then, I don't want to start next week behind, but I also don't want to spend the whole 3-day weekend working on this stuff. So that's kind of how I'm ending this week. But yeah, I guess that's about it for now. Week 7, went pretty good. So yeah, weigh-in. Thursday I did the weigh-in. So that's pretty good. It went pretty good. So, alright. On to week 8. Hopefully you guys are doing something that you're enjoying. Keep it, enjoyable, I hope.